Okay, Papa, tell us about when you were a little boy.
Well, when I was 6 years old, well, I was born in Alabama. And when I was 6 years old, we moved to Illinois. And in 1917 and 18, we had the big snow. And it was 4 foot deep. And then sleeted and froze on top of that. You could walk on top of that. And my brothers walked over the fences going to town. And it was that deep and they couldn't haul any coal with the teams. And people like to froze to death that winter. And I tell you, they dug a pathway out down to our well. We had a well down the hill from the house. And they dug a trench just to walk and put the snow on each side, and it was 6 or 7 feet high on each side. And my brothers went down to the railroad. They had a railroad down by the house, and the train men stopped the train, and they throwed off big lumps of coal for us to have the heat for the house.
Out of the tender of the train?
They, yeah, off the coal cars. They stopped it and got coal off the cars. And they put it on a sled and brought it up to the house. And we kept from freezing to death that winter.
So you were 6 when you moved from Alabama?
I was 6, yeah.
Do you remember living in Alabama at all?
Yeah, I remember a hill. We had a hill up the, well, we lived down on the lower part of the hill, and walked up the thing to the town, little coal mining town.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and that was all. Well, I remember going with my dad to the river. He took me down there when he went fishing, and we had a log jam on the river, and he walked out on that log jam, took me with him, and they had a lot of drift around that log, and I stepped off, thought I was on the solid, and I went down in the water. My dad pulled me out,
Yeah.
saved my life.
And that was down in Alabama, and you were
yeah, in the river.
probably 5 years old or so?
Yeah, 5 years
Yeah.
old.
And so your dad was a coal miner,
He
and
was a coal miner.
and that town in Alabama's not there anymore, is that
No,
right?
it was just a one house there in the country, and they've got they raise pine trees down there now.
Is that right? So they mined all the coal out?
Yeah, they mined the coal out, had strip mines,
Yeah.
and now they're just a farmhouse there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your family moved to Alabama, but your dad came to Alabama. He came from Austria.
Austria,
And he came over first, and then
Yeah.
your mom came?
yeah, and then Mom came and brought. She had my oldest brother Frank.
Yeah.
She had him. He coming back on the ship. Frank like to fell overboard on the ship. They happened to catch him before he fell over.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So do you know where they came in? Do you know if they came in through Ellis Island or where they came in at?
Well, they came in over by New York somewhere.
Yeah.
Up there, I guess. I don't know where the ships came in.
Yeah.
Around New York somewhere.
So they probably came in around 1907.
19 and
3.
16 or 17.
No, when they came across, when they came over on the river.
Oh,
Grandma came over in about 1903, or Grandpa came in 1903.
I believe, yeah. They were there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was Grandpa's name?
Matthew,
And Grandma's name?
Rosalie.
Rosalie.
There's a picture up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you lived in Alabama till you were 6, and how did you guys come to Illinois?
We rode a train into Carbondale, and then from Carbondale they had a train to come to Johnston City, called it the Billy Bryan train,
Yeah.
and they rode that out to Johnston City here, and then we lived in a house right southwest of town. You know where the golf course is out here?
Yeah.
Giants Cove Golf Course. That's where our house sat right there. right off of 57 there,
Yeah.
house fence. That's
Yeah.
where the house set. And they had a road went back there and around.
Did a lot of men come from that town in Alabama up to Johnston City?
There's a lot of them came to Johnston City. And Stericks, out here Stericks. People from Alabama, yeah. They made more money here and they had high coal to work in.
Yeah.
And so that's the story. And
So when you came to Johnston City, you remember going to school when you were little?
yeah, I went to Board Knob School.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And was it a one-room schoolhouse?
yeah. No, it's 2 rooms out here.
2 rooms.
2 rooms, yeah.
What,
They had 1-room school, but this was a 2-room school.
well, what was in each room?
Well, it's up to the 4th grade in 1 room, and then from the 4th to the 8th in the other room.
Yeah, and so kids didn't go to school after the 8th grade?
Well, some of them went to high school, but very few. Very few people went to high school.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford it.
Yeah, did it cost money to go to high
Oh,
school?
yeah.
Did you get to go to high school?
No, I didn't get to go to high school. I worked for people out on the farm.
Yeah.
I had to go to work as soon as I got big enough. And I was 12 years old when I started working out for my room and board.
12 years old.
And I made 50 cents a day on my board.
50 cents.
Worked, yeah.
So, you lived in that house over by where the golf course is now. Do you remember? Did you guys used to have a big garden like you had when you were
We had a
younger?
garden. We had to raise everything that we could, and we had a horse and a cow. That was a must back then.
Yeah.
And we had chickens,
Yeah.
and we had to live. Well, my dad worked in a coal mine, didn't make very much money, so we had a rough way to go. And my dad died when he was 40 years old, and my mom was 42. And she had to raise us 12 kids, 8 boys and 4 girls. And we
Was it common to have such big families back then?
back then people had big families. The majority of them had big families. Yeah. And my wife family, there was 14 in my wife's family.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 of them lived, 4 of them died when they were infants.
Yeah.
And the others were 10 of them raised.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 left out of that family, me and Joe. And they had a show here in town, and on the Saturday afternoon they had a little matinee, and you could go in for a dime and see all of that. Well, they called them serial.
Yeah.
They kept working. Every week they'd have continuous on that one show. And we'd pick up rags and coins or whatever we could, take to the junkyard up here and get a nickel or a dime and pay for our way to the show.
So how did you get around back then? Did you
walk?
walk? You walked everywhere?
Walked, yeah.
So you didn't.
Well, we had a horse here. Had a horse, and I rode that horse ever since. Well, before I got married, I rode that horse everywhere I went.
Well, with 11.
And we had to put out a garden, plow the ground, and tend the garden with that horse.
Yeah. So how did you get to ride the horse with 11 other kids?
Well, I was the one that took to the horse more than likely. So, yeah.
So, so you went to the movie theater and it cost a dime and you watched the serials. Were in the area in Johnston City at that time were there cars? People who owned cars?
Oh yeah, old model cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very few. But there was 2 shows in Johnston City then.
Yeah.
One on the east side of town, one on the west side.
Was Johnston City a more active town then?
Oh, it was one of the more active towns in this area.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. There was a lot of people lived here at that time.
Yeah. And which coal mine did great grandpa work at?
He worked at one right down here, you know, at the end of Broadway, right before you go on the Prosperity Road.
Yeah.
Well, right there at the edge of town was the Old Bend coal mine, and that's where he worked first. And then they put a new mine up here, Old Bend 18,
Yeah.
up back across over here.
Yeah.
And he moved there, and that's where he was working when he died.
So he died at work?
No, he died. He had double pneumonia and died.
Oh.
And 2 of my brothers worked in the mine.
Yeah.
Well, right after he died, they gave my 2 brothers a job at the mine, and they worked to help raise us kids.
Now I know that you were a miner too. You worked in the mines too.
27 years.
But when your dad worked in the mines, were things different from when he worked in the mines from when you worked in the mines?
Oh yeah, they didn't have any machinery in the mine then.
So he went
They did
down.
all by hand work,
He went down with a pick.
pick and shovel,
Yeah.
and dynamite. They used dynamite to bust the coal down.
Yeah.
And then all they got improvements, put machinery and they call it air dock shells they used to shoot the coal down.
Yeah.
And now they've got just machines that goes and cuts it, loads it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did Grandma do? Did she? What did Great Grandma do? Did she just take care of all the kids, or did she do anything else?
She washed clothes 2 or 3 times a week on hand wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get a washing machine until 39, I guess.
Yeah. So you guys didn't sound like you had much when you were growing up.
We didn't have very little, and we appreciated anything we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went through the Depression then.
Lived during the Depression.
And how old were you in 1929? You were.
Well, I was born in 1912. I was
17.
17 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there was I guess there was still work around here with the coal mines though, wasn't there?
Well, there's very few. Yeah. But the coal miners was only getting 1 or 2 days of work a week, and they had to live on that.
When you're a boy, some of the things that you did as a boy to have fun. So you were talking about that you used to go to the neighbor's house and
Yeah.
and what did you do over there? You said you had square dances and
Yeah, we'd go to square dances. Of course, we didn't dance. We watched the grown-ups dance.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And, they danced one night in Carter's house, and they had a heater stove in the house, and they got to dancing, and the floor vibrated, and the stovepipe come down off the stove. Oh, we got smoked out.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So so you used to go to square dances and would you have food and pop? You said you'd have popcorn and stuff like
Popcorn,
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you grow it. And,
Taffy candy, we'd pull it. Yeah.
yeah. And so, do you remember some of the people that you used to, some of the friends you had when you were that young?
Yeah, Ed Spiller was one of them.
I remember Ed. Ed lived right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virgil Carter, his brother-in-law, Ed married Lillian Carter. And his 2 brothers, her 2 brothers was friends of ours, and we run around together.
Yeah.
And they had a horse piece, and we'd ride our horses and go visiting. And me and Ed would go I had this horse and one horse wagon, and my brother had a boat, and we took it out in the Willer Hole up by the county line, and fishing. We'd stay all night and build a campfire and roast our food, and we set trot lines. We wade out in the water and set our trot line
Yeah.
and catch the grinnels. We had a big time.
Yeah. Did you ever get in trouble when you were a kid?
We stole watermelons.
You stole watermelons.
There was a place up north of Stritzel over there who had a big melon patch. If we'd have went to him and got him, he would have given us all the melons we wanted, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
We had to go overnight and get out there and sneak the melons. And,
So it was the thrill of going out there at
Oh,
night and
yeah.
doing it.
if
Yeah.
we'd have gotten shot, oh well. You know, nobody had anything back that day, them days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a ball.
Stealing watermelons, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else? What else did you guys do? So you went fishing and you stole watermelons. Were you responsible? I mean, you were so many kids at home and so many kids to feed. Were you responsible for bringing fish home when you went fishing so everybody could eat?
We didn't waste anything. And we'd go rabbit hunting. We didn't have a gun. We had a slingshot.
Yeah.
We'd catch a rabbit sitting, we'd shoot him with a slingshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So, did you also have to take care of the younger kids?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How many younger ones did you have?
Oh, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There were
Six younger than me.
6 younger, and
I
then,
was number 6 in the family.
so there were 5 older than you.
5 older, yeah.
Yeah. And
And 5 younger than me.
and where did you all sleep at the house?
We had a 4-room house and we all slept.
How'd you all fit in
We
that
slept
house?
crossways in the bed. And
Yeah.
I don't know how many you could put on a bed like that. And some of them would sleep on the floor.
Now, did everybody have the same spot every night, or did you all have to fight for the best spot to sleep?
My 2 older sisters, they worked out and they stayed where they worked for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that took some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did they go to work? Did they go to work after they finished school in the 8th grade? So they were what, 14 or?
Yeah, they went to houses and worked when they was 14, 15 years old.
Did they?
Yeah. Then after they got the sewing machine, sewing factories, they got a job in the sewing factories
And where were the sewing factories at?
in Johnston City and Harriman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was the first job that you had when you started working?
I worked for a farmer for 25 cents a day on my board.
25 cents a day plus your board?
Yeah.
So you said earlier, I think you said you got 50 cents?
Yeah, and then I got 50 cents. And when I went to work for one farmer, I'd get farm work, it was 50 cents a day.
Yeah.
And then when I went to sawmill, it was $1.50 a day for pulling a crosscut saw 9 hours a day, or working sawmill off bearing slabs.
Yeah.
I'd work 6 days a week and get $9.
Wow.
And then I got a job at WPA.
Yeah. So that was when President Roosevelt started the WPA and the
CCC.
the CCC.
Yeah.
Is that what happened to your finger when you were in the sawmills?
Sawmill, yeah. I was cutting wood with a cut-off saw, and I cut that finger off, and this one was almost cut off.
Did it hurt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Did you?
then after I got that, I got a job at Kroger's working at the warehouse.
Yeah.
35 cents a day or an hour, 10 hours a night, from 8 o'clock the night to 6 o'clock the next morning, and for 35 cents an hour.
Was that
And
a pretty good wage? What was a good wage back then?
Well, it wasn't the best, but it was next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coal miners was making more, but they wouldn't get many days' work.
And this was before the Depression?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
No, it was after the Depression, before things got real good.
so when you worked at the sawmill and you cut your finger, and then after that you went to work for the WPA?
Yeah.
And what did you do at the WPA? What project did you work on?
Used a shovel and a hoe out on them, digging ditches and building roads.
Building roads?
Yeah.
Which roads did you help build?
Oh, just all over the county, all over Winston County,
Yeah.
down to Stone Fort,
How much did you get paid there?
$44 a month.
$44 a
And we
month.
paid $10 a month rent,
Oh, so
house rent.
you stayed at the camp, or they have a camp, or?
No, this was, Joe was in the CC, he worked out, but they had a place to stay, but I had to rent a house.
Oh, so you rented a house.
We paid $10 a month rent,
$10 a month.
and, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I had an old car, and I worked on WPA, and I hauled riders, and they bought my gas, that's about all.
Yeah.
Didn't take much gas.
What did you pay for gas back then?
19 cents a gallon. When I had a one-horse wagon, and we went, it's in the fall, we went hickory hunting, and we'd go back in the bottoms, that was all bottom back in there, Lake Creek, and they had hickory nuts down there, and we was going out on the old Heron Road. We went by Grant's house and stopped down there, and we met this girl, my wife, and her cousin. They were walking on the road, and we stopped and talked to them, and I made a date. We met, went down to Centerfield, that was a mile and a half on down the road, and went down to church there, met her, and walked to the church with her and back, you know.
That was your date, was
That
going
was
to
my
church?
First date, yeah.
Yeah. So when you saw Grandma for the first time, there were other girls that you saw and that you knew. Was there
Well,
something special about Grandma? Was she the prettiest girl?
Yeah, I fell in love with her.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Did you fall in love with her as soon as you saw her?
yeah. I never fell in love with another girl before or after.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about Grandma. What color was her hair?
Well, it was about the color of Beverly's.
Yeah?
Yeah,
So it was light brown, almost
Yeah.
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah. And was she tall? Was she kind of small?
No, she was just medium size.
She's
like
medium
Beverly.
size? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of a tall guy.
Well, I was 6'2", but I shrunk a little bit since I had two
Were-
back surgery.
Were you taller than most of your friends?
Do what?
Were you taller than most of your friends?
Well, I would say yes.
Were you the tallest boy in the family?
And there was a boy that, well, he was a brother to Ed's wife, and one he's married to, or one they finally married. And he said, "I'm going to take your girl away from you." I said, "You go right ahead if you think you can." But he didn't make no headway. Oh boy,
So the first date was walking her to church and back.
walking to church and back.
Yeah. Did you sit next to each other at church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you couldn't talk at church or
Oh
anything?
no, you dared to talk to her in church. No.
So did you hold her hand or anything on the way to?
Yeah, that puppy love, what do you call it?
Yeah. Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you hold her hand on the way to church, or did you hold her hand on the way back from church?
Well, both.
Really?
Yeah.
So she kind of liked you when she met you too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I guess fool kids.
Yeah. And did you kiss her that day?
Huh?
Did you kiss her?
Well, not right offhand, no.
No?
No.
So it took a while before you got to
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because she hadn't dated nobody. I hadn't either.
Yeah. And how old were you when you met her and went on your
I
first
was
date?
8. Let's see. I married, I was, what, 21 or 21, I think,
When you got married?
when I married, yeah. She was 18.
She was 18. So when you first went to...
And we went together 3 years and finally got married.
Yeah, let me get these pictures here. Boy, you were a striking young man there. Yeah, and Grandma was a looker.
Yeah, we went to a carnival and we had her picture taken.
Yeah?
And we had some of them little round ones. You got one, didn't you,
I
Beverly?
got them. I got them.
Yeah, Beverly got it. And, so we went to a carnival and they'd take your picture for, I think, a dime or something.
Yeah?
Yeah. And they had one of them old cameras that you put a thing over your head, you know, cover it and take your picture.
Yeah?
And made your picture and put them on a little round thing.
Was it one of those things where they had to make you had to stand really still for, like, you couldn't move?
I don't know. I didn't know how they got about that then.
Yeah?
But
And so, how long did you date after that?
well, about 2 years or something like that. 2 or 3 years, I don't know. Anyhow, we got saved in church, and we were baptized in a pond out by Stritzel, Illinois.
Yeah?
And
Together?
yeah, together. We were baptized some
Oh.
Yeah.
went under. And so then we just dated till we got married.
Yeah. So, I guess that once you started dating, you saw her pretty regularly.
Oh yeah.
What did you do? You went to church?
We went to church and we went to each other's house and had popcorn and just, I don't know, full of taffy candy and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now times were tough then, weren't they?
Yeah, the times were tough. That was during the Depression.
Yeah. And were you working at that time when you were dating?
Just, working for farmers. Yeah,
And you were still living at home
yeah,
with your brothers and sisters.
yeah.
Yeah. And did you ever get to go like to the movies or anything like that?
Yeah, we went to 10-cent movies
10-cent movies.
on Saturday.
And that was about 29, 30?
29, 30, yeah, 30 and 31.
Do you remember any of the movies that you saw at the dime movie?
Oh, yeah, I was at Ken Maynard and what was that other one? What come to the Johnston City at the church, at the theater.
Tom Mix.
Had his, it was, I'll think in a minute. Tex Ritter,
Yeah.
and he had his sidekick with him. I forget what his name was.
Yeah.
And he had a donkey with him, and he led that donkey through the room. and it showed a picture of him, the front of him and the back of him. And we all enjoyed that.
Yeah. So,
That critter.
so when you and Grandma would go places, how would you get around? You had your horse, right?
Yeah, we'd walk most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she had a horse that she rode. And we went together.
Yeah.
And I had, in the wintertime when the snow was on, I had a sled made. I made a sled.
Yeah.
And I had a horse, and we went sleigh riding.
Oh, that sounds
Oh,
like
yeah.
fun.
I tell you, we had the best time of our lives.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So, you and Grandma dated for a couple of years before you got married.
Yeah,
So,
I think about 3 years.
yeah, what did her parents think of you when they first met you?
Well, I don't know. Her mom wasn't living then.
Oh, okay.
Her mom had passed away just before that.
Yeah.
And her dad, he went along with me. I worked, helped baled hay for him and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he gave us money to buy a new cook stove,
Yeah.
a wood burning cook stove or a coal burning cook stove.
Yeah.
Cook stove, and we used an oil stove before that to cook on, and we used that cook stove, and oh Lord, well, it was rough times then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Depression.
So, what did Grandma's dad do? What did he do when he was working?
Who?
Grandma's dad, Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant? What did he do?
Well, he farmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. He used to work at the mine, but he farmed in his later life.
Yeah.
He had cattle and hogs, and his wife died just before I met Rudy.
Yeah.
And then he married another lady and lived with her for several years, and then they divorced.
Well, that was pretty rare back then, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah it was. She had a family and he had a family,
Yeah.
and they didn't cheat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, did he have a big place?
Who?
Uh,
Grandpa Grant?
yes,
Oh,
Grandpa
he had
Grant.
a farm, 119 acres.
119. That was pretty big, wasn't it?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Was he pretty well to do, I guess, with that big
Well,
as much as people were about then?
just tolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cattle and hogs and
yeah, raised
Yeah.
a lot of, he had the best breed of hogs that there was, I think.
yeah.
And cattle, he had black Angus cattle,
Black Angus cattle.
yeah,
That's good beef.
yeah. One of the best, yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get to eat meat a lot?
Oh,
Eat
yeah.
a lot of beef?
He'd kill beef every time, well, whenever he needed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, tell me about what was going on at your house while you and Grandma were dating, and so Grandpa Stritzel had passed away.
Oh, yeah, he passed away in 1923.
And how old were you when he passed away?
Well, I was 11 years old.
It must have been tough.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Did
And
he?
My mother raised 8 boys and 4 girls.
She must have been a busy lady.
She was.
Yeah.
She washed clothes by the old washboard by hand.
Yeah.
Hit the water outside.
And I bet you boys were all always busy doing something around the house.
We raised everything that we could raise in the garden
Yeah.
to make a living. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had hogs and a cow. And
So, what did Grandma Stritzel think of Grandma Rui?
well, she thought the world of her.
Did she?
Oh, yeah.
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 She thought you found a good girl then.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandma Stritzel was a wonderful person. She was, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody would like her.
I would have liked to have met her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know one of my fondest things about Grandma, my Grandma Rui,
Yeah.
was that she was such a good cook. Was she a good cook when you first met her?
Yes, she was. She learned the hard way,
Yeah.
and she was a real good cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. And Beverly and Brenda took up that same thing, you know.
Yeah. 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 My mom's certainly a good cook too.
Oh, yeah. Brenda,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell Joel about Grandma Rosalie teaching Mother the things that she taught her to cook.
So-
What?
The things that Grandma Rosalie taught my mother, Rui, to
Oh,
cook.
it's about making pizza.
Yeah. So she taught her a lot of
And
old country stuff, huh?
dumplings, chicken and dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was one of the best.
Yeah.
Apple strudel.
Yeah,
Apple
and
strudel.
what was she made?
Smorden.
What was it? She made?
Smorden and apple strudel.
Apple strudel. Yeah, she was a whiz on apple strudel.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when she made it one time, and that was so good.
Oh yeah.
That was so good. Good stuff.
She taught your grandma everything she knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Rui's mother didn't live, too long after. Well, she died in 1931.
yeah.
Rui's mother, and Rui was only
11 or 14, 11, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And Fern was just a baby,
Yeah.
and we had a rough go when we started out.
Yeah.
But we had $2.50 saved for the wedding.
Oh.
That was something.
$2.50.
Yeah,
So where did you get married at?
in Benton, Illinois,
Benton. Okay.
the Justice of the Peace.
By the Justice of the Peace.
Yeah, and Brenda, or Rita Bandy went with us to get married, and the Justice of the Peace, his wife stood up with us to get married.
So you had to have two
Rita.
witnesses, and you brought one, and
Rita Bandy and this,
yeah.
yeah.
So, did you tell everybody that you were going to get married? Did everybody know, or did
No, then we kept it a secret for a few days.
you did?
Yeah.
All
Oh
of
yeah.
it.
Well, why is that?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but we wasn't situated to get housekeeping,
Yeah.
and we bought furniture on time, so much a month.
Yeah.
A bed, I've still got the bed at home,
Yeah.
and we bought a oil stove with a oven with it, and that's the way we cooked.
Yeah. So, you didn't ask Grandpa Grant if you could marry his daughter before you did? You just went and did it?
Just went and did it.
Is that unusual?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, he bought us a cook stove to start with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Well, I mean, was that unusual for that time? Was to go and marry a gal without getting approval from her father first?
oh, yeah, some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them went off and got married and didn't even tell their parents about it.
Yeah. But you weren't worried that you'd face his wrath or anything
No.
for.
No, we made it just fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got married by the justice of peace, and you came back and you took a few. You didn't tell anybody for a few days.
No.
Not even any of your brothers or anybody.
Not really.
No.
No.
So, when you were growing up, which of your brothers were you closest to?
Well, I guess Pete. My
Yeah.
brother Pete and my brother Speed
Yeah.
and Matt.
Were they closest in age to you?
No, I was number 6 in the family of 12. And we all played together and fought together and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got married, you didn't tell anybody. You didn't tell Uncle Speed, Uncle Matt, Uncle
No.
Pete, none of them.
No.
No, you didn't. Now when you got married, was Uncle Joe dating Aunt Fern, or?
Joe, no, he wasn't yet. No. I don't know when he started, but it was later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did you live when you first got married? You said you needed some time to get some stuff together and get your house together.
We lived in a little shack over there, lived close to her dad,
Yeah.
a little one-room shack.
Yeah.
And we made it out there till I worked at the sawmill then. And then we moved up to town and lived upstairs at a place, Miss Tom's shack. And I drove to work to Troy Bandy's. I had that old Model T Ford.
Yeah.
I paid $10 for that Ford truck and drove it. And oh, we had a time.
Yeah. So did Grandma work at all when
She worked housework.
She did? So she cleaned people
$2 a week.
$2 a week. So who'd she clean rich people's houses?
$2.50 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy, it was rough. And I worked at the sawmill for 75 cents a day, and not my board, but I mean 75 cents a day, and worked 9 hours a day for 6 days a week.
That's hard work.
Oh yeah. And the job, 6 days I had $9.
Yeah. So so you said that you first lived in the little shack by Grandpa Grant's house. How long? Do you remember how long you lived there?
No, I don't know, just offhand. I raised a garden out there, used his team and all, I had a garden,
Yeah.
and raised whatever we could to eat.
You used his team of ox, team of mule. What did he have?
Team of mules, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they had some new ground, and I had to plow in that new ground and get around the stumps and all. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That was rough,
Yeah.
hard time, but we made good crops.
So you don't remember how long you lived there before you moved uptown?
No, I don't.
No.
I-
So you lived upstairs in somebody's house,
Yeah.
and
Then we finally I got a job at Kroger's, and we moved to Carbondale
yeah.
for a while, and then we moved back to Johnston City after the firehouse burned in Carbondale.
So I kind of give me a gauge on what time we're talking about. So you and Grandma got married in what year?
1935,
1935.
yeah.
And you lived in that shack for a while. Then you moved to town, to Johnson
Yeah.
City, and you
I
lived
think
upstairs.
We moved to Carbondale in 1940, I think, when I got a job at Kroger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1940. So
yeah.
things were still pretty tough then, weren't they?
Well, they was, yeah. I
'Cause
was
the-
getting 35 cents an hour for working 10 hours a night, work all night long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then after that, I finally got a job at the coal mine,
Yeah.
making $9 a day, and that was, we thought we was rich then.
Did you work at the same mine that your dad worked at?
Yeah,
Did you?
Work?
Did you work at the same coal mine that Grandpa Stritzel worked at?
Oh, no. No, no, that was, the coal mines was already done for them. And I worked at the Consolidated Coal Company
Yeah. So
for
when
27 years.
yeah, when you went to work every day, at least when you started working at the coal mine, did you bring a pick with you? Or did you dynamite, or what would you do at the coal
I
mines?
worked at, using a jackhammer and pouring concrete and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard work.
Yeah. Dirty work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really work.
So that was pretty good living though. $9 a day.
Oh, yeah, we thought we was rich then.
Yeah, and that was about 1940.
Yeah. I worked that till 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you and Grandma were young, and you were working at Kroger, and then you got a job at the mine.
Yeah.
And were you ever scared going to work at the mine?
Well, I was at first, yeah. But I saw a lot of men die and get covered up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, it was rough. I was lucky to get by without getting killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time in the mine, I was working, I was a pump man, I was working in by myself, and the examiner come in one day and he said, shut your pump off, said, we've got gas in here. So I shut it off and went over there and checked the gas with a safety light and showed, put the light out.
Yeah.
So they had to call the mine off. If I'd have set that afire with that, see, we had a power line come in there, and it wasn't covered. I mean, it was bare, and we'd put a nip on to put the power on. It would spark, you know.
Yeah.
And we're just lucky it didn't spark. Shut that off.
Yeah.
We'd have been gone if it.
Big explosion, huh?
Yeah. And they had to shut the mine down till they got rid of that gas. And oh,
So when you were working at the mine, did Grandma still clean houses? Was she still cleaning houses then, or?
no, she quit then after that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And how long before Grandma got pregnant with Mom? Were you already working at the coal mine, or was that before you got?
I was working at Kroger's. No. I was working at WPA before I got on a Kroger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So where was Mom born? Which place were you living when Mom was born?
On 10th Street. Yeah. And that was in 19... What was it?
37. 37.
Oh, yeah, it was... Well, we got married in 35, and
Yeah.
she was born in 1937.
Yeah.
We were living on 10th Street. My aunt had a home, and they moved to Chicago, and I rented her house for $10 a month.
$10 a month.
And
Seems
I was
like
working as WPA for $44 a month. Yeah. And that was rough.
yeah. So Mom was born at home,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
had the
Yeah,
doctor
the
came over and delivered her.
Dr. Duncan came over,
Yeah.
and he's come over that night after midnight. I went to her and got him, and he come back and stayed there till, well, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
and the baby, Beverly, was born.
Yeah.
And
So, go ahead.
he said he had to go back. I said, you got to go back to your office now? And he said, I said, you go back, get some sleep? He said, no, I've got to go to the office. He had to go to the office. He sat in a chair. He used ether to inhale while he was sitting there in the chair.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
That keep him awake?
he keep him awake, yeah.
Huh. So, so while Grandma was delivering Mom, what were you doing?
Well, I was there,
Yeah?
yeah.
Were you helping out? Were you helping Grandma at all, or were
Nothing I
you
could do, nothing.
trying to keep busy and keep occupied?
Oh,
Yeah.
Kind of keep staying awake.
Yeah. So you were born in Mom was born in 1937,
37.
and you were living on 10th Street in
Yeah.
your aunt's house,
Yeah,
and you were working at the WPA.
yeah,
So it was before the coal mine,
yeah,
and it was after the sawmill.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Before Kroger.
Yeah,
Before Kroger.
yeah.
Yeah. And so when Mom was little, you guys didn't have much at all, did you?
Oh, no.
And so Aunt Brenda was born when?
Window.
Oh, Uncle Wendell was born when?
In 1943.
1943. So you're.
And Brenda was born in 1944.
Is that right? Yeah, 1943 and 1944. So you were working at the coal mine then,
Yeah,
and I guess things were a little better for you because you were.
they were. Well, let's see, Wendell was born at the hospital too, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
and
So-
Brenda.
Were you too old to go to war when the war started?
I tell you, I had two kids. Brenda wasn't born yet,
Yeah.
and I was called up to go to Chicago to take my physical
Yeah.
for the Army, and they put me in 3A. I was in 3A, and I was going to go to war, and I had two kids, and they finally they changed the age limit, and that's what kept me out of the service. I was in 2 weeks I was gone to service.
Yeah.
They called my name, but they've changed the age limit, and that kept me out. So
Yeah.
that's all to save me from going.
So what was life like at home? What was it like being at home during the war? And all the things going on, you knew that.
They had the what was it called? Rationing.
Yeah.
They had rationing on, and we just allowed so much on rationing, and it was rough. You couldn't buy tires.
Yeah.
They was all rationed, and all gasoline was rationed, and boy, it was rough.
So did they give you ration cards of
Yeah,
some
you could
kind?
ration cars, you just allowed so much. And I had a car that had to have tires, they were worn, and I couldn't buy new tires.
Yeah.
And there's one feller, he had a business, and he could buy tires. He bought 4 new tires, and he sold me his used ones, and I used them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh boy, it was rough.
So during the war, were you ever worried? Did you ever think that the war was going to come home at any time, or did you think that they were going to keep it all out in
Well,
Europe and in the
I
Pacific?
didn't know. I just worried about it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had cousins that went to war, and they was older than me,
Yeah.
but they wasn't married, see, and they went right on.
Yeah.
They took them right on.
Did any of your brothers go?
Oh yeah, I had, let's see, Pete went and Joe went and Bud went,
Yeah.
but John and Frank didn't have to go. They were older than me.
Yeah.
And Speed didn't have to go. But all younger than Speed had to go. Pete and Matt.
Yeah.
Well, Matt didn't. He didn't pass the physical. He had rupture, double rupture, and Joe had to go. Bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you worried about them.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they write you letters and tell you that they were okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Uncle Wendell was born in 1943.
Yeah.
And was he born in a hospital?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
So
See, there was 22 months difference in Wendell and Brenda's age.
yeah.
Yeah. Wendell was born 1943 in February.
Yeah.
Brenda was born 1944 in December 25th.
Right, Christmas Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where were you living? So you worked. You were working at the coal mine during the war,
Yeah.
and then where were you living? And you were living in.
Davis Street in Johnston City.
Is that where you were living when Uncle Wendell was born?
Now I was living over on the east side before we moved to Davis Street.
And what kind of place was it over on the east side that you lived at?
Well, we lived at
Was it a house?
a house on Barham Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you buy that house or did you rent it?
We
Or
rented.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so Uncle Wendell was born, and then Aunt Brenda was born, and so you had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So Grandma wasn't working anymore; she was staying home.
She was staying home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said now, she worked at the dress factory.
At the dress factory.
That's where she worked. Yeah. She worked there at the dress factory.
And what did she do? Did she sew? Is that what she did?
She
Sewed
did.
on the machine or something, or?
She worked in the cutting department.
Yeah. So she cut the fabric.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she did.
Yeah. So so then she worked there before Uncle Wendell was born, or she went to work
She
back
worked
to work.
after Wendell was born. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So who watched the kids while she went to work?
Well,
Me.
they was old enough to
Me.
take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beverly took care of Wendell and Brenda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When they were little.
yeah.
So how long did Grandma work at the dress factory?
Well, that I don't know. Yeah,
You don't know?
don't know.
No.
Several years.
Several years, and
Yeah.
and
The dress factory quit, and of course she quit too.
yeah.
I think she worked at Aaron a little while, didn't she? Yeah,
What'd she do there?
dress factory.
Oh, at another dress factory. So after all that, what did she do? She came back home and run the house?
Yeah, keep the house.
Yeah. So what was it like having 3 little kids?
Oh, well,
Well, you were working 12 hours a day in the mine, weren't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you didn't get to see a lot of them, did you?
Not much, no.
Yeah.
Most of the night.
Yeah, you come home all covered in coal dust and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No, I'd take a shower to mine.
Oh, at the mine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time I didn't take a shower to mine when they didn't have any power, any hot water. You know, I had to take cold water shower.
Yeah. So I guess having 3 little kids, times were still tough, huh?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, money's hard to come by.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. You couldn't realize how much what it was to make a living back then. It just skimmed and skimmed. We bought furniture when we bought our house, or when we moved in the house. We bought our furniture on time.
Yeah.
So much down, so much a month. $10 down and $10 a month or something like it.
Yeah.
$5 a month. And, yeah.
So, you had indoor plumbing and all at your house?
Had what?
Indoor plumbing?
No. Not so. We moved it, let's see, in 10th Street. We had an outdoor toilet then, didn't we? Yeah. And we had lights, $1 a month for lights
Yeah.
and electricity.
They just tell you it was just a flat rate, $1 a month, or did they
Yeah.
meter it like they do
$1 something. We
Yeah.
didn't use much.
Yeah.
Never run over $1 or something.
Well, you didn't really have that much power besides lights, did you?
Didn't have no electric stuff.
No TVs, no computers,
No.
no microwaves.
The
And,
first washing machine we got was a gasoline Maytag, gasoline motor on it.
oh yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We didn't have running water for a long
Didn't
time.
have running water for long.
So you had to pump it?
But we had a well drawn with a bucket.
Oh, with a bucket.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember pumping water at the river.
Oh yeah. We pumped water down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That water was cold.
yeah. Oh, I know it.
Oh, it was cold.
Yeah.
It come up out of the ground
Good
cold.
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, when did you move to where you're at now?
Oh, in 1965, I believe.
And you lived on Davis Street until then?
Yeah.
And did you own that house on Davis Street?
No, we lived on Noah Street.
Noah Street. Did you own that house on Noah Street?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we owned that house and we sold it and bought the one out where we live now.
Yeah. And that's where you grew up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Ever since. Well, when we moved from Alabama, we moved to Oak Ridge at Prosperity. And in 1917,
Yeah.
and then in 1921, we moved from Prosperity to where we live now. And
Yeah.
my dad died in 1923. And so we went from there.
That seems like a big plot of land that you had.
Yeah, 10 acres back then.
Yeah.
And we had a horse, and we raised hogs, and had a cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when the kids were young, what did you do? What did you do for fun, like on the weekends and stuff?
Well,
Did you ever used to take the kids places and do things with them?
we'd go to grandma's and I don't know what all, but the kids was in school
Yeah.
and
Were they good kids?
yeah, they was,
Yeah.
yeah. And they belonged to Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if they weren't good kids, did Grandma keep them in line?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. The window, he was late getting home from school one evening.
Yeah.
She went and meet him at the switch. She picked him all the way home. He never will forget that.
I bet not. I bet he wasn't late again after that.
Well, he was waiting for Johnny Grant, I think. He was waiting for him to go home with him. Johnny Grant had to stay over for something.
Yeah.
Wendell waited. Mom up to meet him, found him. She whipped him all the way home. Oh, boy.
Hmm.
He never stayed late no more.
Yeah.
No.
So, when they were young, you went to Grandma Stritzel's
Oh, yeah.
for dinner on Sunday.
We did eat out there a lot of times.
Every Sunday.
Yeah. About every Sunday.
Yeah. And
Oh,
with all
she,
the
She was a cook, I tell you. Well, you know, she had 12 kids to feed.
yeah.
And, you know, we used 100 pounds of flour every month,
Wow.
about a month. We usually buy 100-pound bag.
Yeah. So when you would go there on Sunday, would everybody else come with their kids and?
Well, yeah. Well,
So you must have had a house
there
full.
wasn't too many that had kids. Well, Frank had kids, but he lived away from home.
Yeah.
And I think Ann and Katie had kids,
Yeah.
and Ann didn't have no kids, her and her husband. And so Grandma, I tell you, she had a lot to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have a little homebrew beer when you were there on Sundays?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Homemade brew, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about what else you did when it was you and Grandma, and before, as your kids started growing up. What did you and Grandma do to stay occupied?
Well,
I know you worked a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
We went to.
Well, we went
the
fishing. We went fishing, camped out,
Yeah.
and cooked our fish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, went out to the pond, built a fire, and fried our fish.
When did you buy that cabin on the river?
1939.
1939.
Yeah, wasn't it?
I-
Yeah.
Not 39.
No, it was.
49? I don't.
So when you bought the cabin, did you start going there regularly?
Oh, yeah. Every weekend. I started at the mine in 45.
Yeah.
Well, I bought that cabin in 49, and I'd gone to that river before I ever bought the cabin,
Yeah.
and we'd go down there every weekend when I worked at the mine.
And did you take the kids with you when you went?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when you bought, did you have a boat?
Oh, I rented a boat down there first when I first moved,
Yeah.
or first got the cabin, and then I bought me a 10-foot boat off of the boy that I worked with, and I used it down there till I bought this other 12-foot John boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't wait till Friday night to come so I could, she'd have stuff ready for me, and we'd go down to the river and stay till Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Lots of fishing and
Oh, yeah.
good food and
Yeah.
yeah, good times. Cold well water.
Oh, yeah.
Fires.
Yeah.
Yeah, and me and her mom, we'd go out to Bluegill. She got to where she'd catch more than I would.
Yeah. Grandma was a good fisherman, wasn't she?
She didn't care to tell me about it, too. Yeah, boy, we had a time. She could fish, I'm telling you. Well, I taught her to fish, I taught Wendell to fish,
Yeah.
and I guess I taught them all to fish.
I think so.
Taught you to fish too.
That's some of the best times I remember
You
being
know,
down
I
there.
never will forget one time you come down there with us, and we went across and fished across from Joe's cabin over there,
Mm-hmm.
and I caught a bass, and I think it was about 3 pounds or more. I think never got it. caught it. And you got a hold of one, and I said, I told you how to handle it to bring it out. And you finally got it. It was bad. Then
So you were talking. You were getting ready to tell me about you took a trip.
yeah, 14-day trip. We went to New England State. We went up to, we went through Indiana and up to Detroit, and then up to Canada. And we saw the Niagara Falls. We stayed in a motel there that night.
Yeah.
And we saw all the falls. And then the next day we got on a boat and toured I don't know what they called it. It was above the Niagara Falls.
The Niagara River.
We saw the mansions over in Canada
Yeah.
along the shoreline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then we went on through, we could have drove around the Great Lakes, and it would have took, I forget how many miles. And it was 12 miles across the lake. And they put us on a barge line on that bus, and we went across that lake over into Albany, New York,
Yeah.
I think somewhere, and then we went from there on over to Kennedy Plantation over across what we call it, Mark Vineyard. What,
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard, yeah. We saw Miss
The Kennedys.
Did you hang out with the Kennedys?
Kennedy, yeah, Grandma Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she came out of her house and waved at all of us.
Yeah.
We went across the canal there, or whatever. That's where they had they filmed what is that? Big thing in the ocean.
The Titanic?
No, that show they made on Jaws. Jaws, I believe.
That's where they filmed Jaws.
Yeah, we saw where it was anchored
Yeah.
and down in the water.
Yeah.
Then we went to the cranberry, when they was harvesting the cranberry,
Yeah.
and I saw how they harvested in the water.
Yeah.
And they had machinery that scooped the cranberries up out of the water and loaded them on the trucks. Yeah.
Was that your and Grandma's? Was that your first big vacation?
No, that was one of the biggest, longest vacation we ever had.
Yeah.
It was the latter part of October and the first part of November.
Yeah.
14 days. And we went up to, what's that place up there? Not the last continent up in that country, but next to it.
Did you go up to Maine or Vermont or New Hampshire? Vermont.
Went in the mountains of Vermont,
Yeah.
the ski country.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful, and it was a beautiful sight to see all of that green mountains
Yeah.
and see the sunset and the sunrise. And that was beautiful.
Isn't that what they call Vermont, the Green Mountain State or something?
Green mountain, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't see any rocks. It's all green.
Really?
Yeah.
So, what was the thing that you remember most from that trip? Was it something that you saw? Was it something that you and Grandma did? Was it just the fun that you had, or being together, or what? What was the most memorable thing from that trip?
Well, I wanted to see everything we could see,
Yeah.
but Grandma wasn't that way. She didn't want to see everything.
She could just look at something and say, yeah, there it is, and
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, and we went to the,
Does that make sense? Or you can go for.
what do you call these
like,
people,
4, 5, 6,
oh,
7, 8, something like that.
the Amish people.
Yeah.
We went,
Yeah,
we went to the Amish settlement and we went to the store building in town, and you could buy anything that you ever wanted or wanted to see, they had it there.
Yeah.
And they had their horse carriages and all that.
Well, we keep going until I find
Yeah.
It was really
All right, so
interesting.
you don't think you can bet anymore?
And
Or don't wanna?
I think that was about the last big place that we stayed. And we went to another trip.
Yeah.
We went down to Kentucky to Lincoln's hometown and up to, that mansion over in North Carolina, but the Biltmore Mansion. We toured that. Oh, we had a wonderful time.
Yeah. So, do you remember what the first vacation was that you guys took together, the first big one? Because I know you guys used to go, your vacations were going to the river. And you guys did that a lot. But do you remember the first time that you got to go away to someplace you'd never been before?
I believe, well, we went to Washington, Oregon, California for one vacation.
Yeah.
In California. We made it all in one vacation.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time there. And,
Did you fly?
yeah,
Was that the first time you'd been on a plane?
yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, we sat and looked out the plane window. It was in July, and there was, it was snowing up in the mountains.
Yeah.
See that snow? Yeah.
Pretty
We
amazing.
went up on that Portland, Oregon, that Mount,
Mount Hood?
huh?
Which mountain was it?
It's a mountain up there.
Mount Hood?
Hood, yeah. Yeah, we went up to Mount Hood,
Yeah.
and we had a good time. And we rode in that big plane, one of the biggest they had then.
Yeah.
Oh, it was something special. That's where we visited Wendell while we were there. We visited Wendell while he was in California.
When he lived in California.
Yeah, he was a policeman there, California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where else did you and Grandma go for vacations? Because I was looking around your kitchen, and I see all of these plates all around the top of your kitchen. And I know that some of those that people gave to you, but I know others are places you've been.
Yeah, we got,
So, when did you and Grandma decide you were going to start traveling?
well, as soon as, well, I'd say as soon as we could afford it. Yeah. Yeah. And we enjoyed every bit of it.
So,
And we went one trip to down to the old, what's that place in Tennessee? The old
Grand Ole Opry?
Grand Ole Opry. Went in that building
Yeah.
and saw the movie. And we met Minnie Pearl in person
Yeah?
at the restaurant, and we got her take her autograph.
I remember her from Hee Haw.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Pearl,
Yeah.
and Grandpa John.
Yeah. So, did you and Grandma, did you both want to see the world, see things? It just, you had never had an opportunity to do it, or was that mostly something that you really wanted to do, or?
We wanted to do it, and we had a chance to go with a bus where we didn't have to drive and
Yeah.
all that stuff. We
Yeah.
let the bus driver do the driving, and we saw a lot of country.
Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah. You're really lucky to have seen a lot of places.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, do you remember when it was when you first started getting to travel? I think I was young. I think it was maybe in the 70s.
I guess it was, yeah.
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 So,
We went to a lot of 2-day trips, you know. Take 1-day trips and 2-day trips,
yeah.
and then the week trips, and all that stuff.
So, so we talked about you traveling. So, as Aunt Brenda and Mom and Uncle Wendell, as they got older and they had families, and I know Uncle Wendell moved out to California for a few years.
Yeah.
So what did you and Grandma do to stay busy?
We what?
What did you do to stay busy? As your kids got older and had kids of their own and moved on, what did you guys do to stay busy?
Well, we had a birthday every year for each and every one of the kids.
Yeah.
And we went, well, like I say, we went to visit Wendell while he was in California.
Yeah.
And went fishing with him and never caught a fish.
Never caught a fish?
Caught a fish.
You and Uncle Wendell in a boat in California.
No, on the bank. We went in the boat, we was on the bank.
You're on the bank and you two never caught a fish.
Never caught a fish.
Wow. The two best fishermen that I know
I know.
in the entire world
I didn't hold my mouth right.
went together fishing and never caught a fish.
Caught a fish.
That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's absolutely the fact.
Yeah. So, I know that when I was little, you used to have a garden on both sides of the house. You had one
Down in front.
You had one down in front and you had one down in back, and they were both. This one was always the biggest, but the one out in the front was pretty big at one time too. So, did you always have such a big garden, even when the kids were little, or did that something that kind of took over and got since you had more time to do it?
We had a garden ever since we were married.
Yeah.
And we canned, one year we canned 350 quarts of vegetables and fruit.
Yeah.
Canned about 4 jars. Yeah.
I remember that storm cellar being full of full of canned goods all the time.
Yeah, right.
So was the gardens were they always that big, or was it something that got bigger?
Well, I always loved to plant peas, all kinds of peas, and all kinds of beans, and popcorn, and sweet corn, and most everything that you raise in the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of all the things that you raised in the garden, of all the things that you grew, what was your favorite thing?
Well, watermelon and cantaloupe.
Watermelon and cantaloupe. Yeah.
So we raised, before that we raised a lot of potatoes, late potatoes, and we healed them up for the winter.
Yeah.
And we had our own seed popcorn plant every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But your favorite was watermelon.
yeah, watermelon.
Boy, I sure do remember coming here and cracking open those watermelon. They were so good on the hot summer days. They were so good.
You know, everybody bragged on their watermelons and cantaloupes.
They were good stuff.
And a feller from Johnstown told me one time, and he said, I was telling him about raising watermelons and cantaloupe. He said, you got sandy soil? I said, no. He said, you can't raise good melons unless you got sandy soil. I said, mister, you're wrong. I've done it for years, and they're delicious. Everybody bragged on the melons.
Yeah, they were good melons. So, so you had that. Well, you had that garden ever since you moved here.
Yeah.
And had it always been so big? What, did you always have it on both sides of the house?
Well, not really. It got to work. I couldn't take care of all of it,
Yeah,
you know, and so I cut this out down here.
yeah.
So it had,
Okay, so you were talking about a drought you had in the 1930s.
yeah, there wasn't hardly anything raised.
Yeah. So it took a major drought to make you fail. So, but you never had something that just you couldn't get to grow, or that never turned out the way that you wanted.
Well, I was a pretty good gardener. I mean,
I know you were.
I saved my own seed, and I kept it in the deep freeze, and it wouldn't, you lose no germination. It always paid off. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that we were talking about your garden, and you said that you germinated your own seeds and everything. You did all that, and you'd always been a good gardener.
Yeah.
Well, who taught you that?
Well, I guess
Show 'em your garden.
the people that I worked for, when I first started to work,
Yeah.
farmers, and farmers, they had a big garden, and they showed me every angle there was, and I had good teaching on that.
Yeah.
And I had good gardens ever since. I've worked for people that had a lot of money, but they knew how to raise stuff and make a living. So, yeah, I had good teaching.
It sounds like it.
I've played the role ever since.
So I know that gardening kept you busy, because I know that took a lot of your time
Oh, yeah,
between spring and fall.
yeah.
Tell me about what you did in the winter to stay busy.
Well, we had a coal burning. Well, we first started off with kerosene stove and a kerosene oven.
In this house.
Cook, yeah. That was before we ever had electricity. And then we had a coal burning stove, cook stove, and we had a coal burning heater
Yeah.
every other house. And dinner cooking and all that.
So tell me about your workshop out in the barn and what you did out there. Tell me about the barn.
Oh, well, I had my little shop in the barn, and I made a few log houses, and I don't know what else. But I made a TV sink, and I made these cool seats. I made them over. And I did a lot of the carpenter work with the old hand tools.
Now, how'd you learn how to do that?
Well, I learned it by working for a fellow that was a carpenter.
So when you learned to do that when you worked in the sawmill and stuff?
Yeah, well, I no, before when I was working for a farmer, he hired a carpenter.
Yeah.
He was a good one. And he'd rebuild houses and tear down a house and put it back up. And I learned every bit of it from the carpenter.
Well, over your years, you have learned a lot of things.
Yeah,
You all right?
yeah,
You need a minute?
yeah.
So I'm just showing a couple of minutes of this amazing log cabin that you hand built
You're okay, you're okay.
out in your workshop, out in the barn.
Oh, bless you.
Just
And I used all hand tools.
all hand tools. And what kind of wood did you use to make these with?
Oh, sorry.
I think it's oak.
Is it?
Yeah.
Now, you made one of those for everybody, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't know how many I made, but I made one for every one of the kids. And their kids, let's see. I don't know.
Do you remember how long it took you to make one of those?
I don't know just the offhand, but if I stayed with it, I guess I could finish one within a week or a week and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that those were really neat, that it was really some good craftsmanship putting those together. And it really looked authentic.
Yeah. I've got one time made with half shingles on it, wooden shingles that I've cut out of wild cherry and split them out and
Yeah.
make shingles for them.
Wow.
I thought I had one here, but I guess I might give it away. I don't know.
So, would you say that the last one you did was better than the first one you did? Do you think you got better at it as time went
Oh
on?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, when you sat down to do that for the first time, did you have a book or something? Did you look it up, or did you just start putting things together?
No. Well, I saw pictures of them, you know, in magazines and all that. I never had a blueprint of one. No, didn't have a blueprint.
Yeah.
And I just went to work and come out this good.
So that's one of the things that you did to keep busy in the winter, was you put those together out in the barn
Yeah,
in the winter.
and I had a fire in the wood stove.
I remember you going out there on some really cold days and working.
I worked out there, it's comfortable. Yeah.
And-
To cut all those for that chimney
Yeah,
was quite a job.
it looks.
Rip all them out, you know, and cut them in all different shapes. Yeah.
So, I think we've talked about going to the river,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm not sure. So maybe we could talk about the river a little bit. Do you remember when you first got the cabin at the river?
Yeah.
Now, did you build that cabin or did you buy it?
Built it from scratch.
And who did you build it, or who helped you build it?
A fella from Herring
Yeah.
Roy's cousin was married to a guy over there,
Yeah.
and we ordered the stuff for him, and I got stuff down to the ordnance plant. The
Yeah.
framing of it's all oak. I got it down to the ordnance plant, got it given to me,
Yeah.
and I hauled it down there and used it up.
So, before you built that cabin and you had that place and you got that in 47?
39,
You had the cabin in 1939?
let's see. Yeah,
Do you think that you were a fisherman before you
no,
got...
it wasn't 39, it was 40 something,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think that you were a fisherman before you got the cabin on the river, or do you think you learned to be a fisherman after you got the cabin
I
on?
went down there and fished before I got the cabin.
Yeah, but were you a good fisherman?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you could ask Wendell about that.
Now, who taught you to fish?
I taught myself,
You taught yourself how to fish.
and I taught Wendell how to fish.
He can fish.
Yeah, he can fish.
So, you and Grandma used to go down there way back when you first got it, and you used to take the kids down there.
Yeah, every weekend.
Now, did you always have a boat? Or
Yeah.
you always had a boat?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I didn't have a boat right at the first. I rented a boat down to fish camp,
yeah,
and then I bought a boat off a feller, one-man boat. Two men used it.
yeah.
Then I got a different boat. I told you about going down every Friday night and Roy'd have everything ready and packed. We'd go down there and stay till Sunday evening. And I did more fishing then than I did after I retired.
Let me ask you, how many fish do you think you caught out of that river?
Oh, Lord, I don't know.
How many times do you think that river fed us? Fed everybody?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I know
Thousands?
One time, when on vacation, I kept fish for 3 days, and I had 350 bluegills, and I filleted every one of them. It took me 3.5 hours. Yeah,
That's a lot of filleting.
yeah. 350 bluegills.
That is a lot of filleting.
And I caught a catfish that weighed 35 pounds.
Is that the biggest fish you ever caught?
Yeah,
A 35-pound catfish?
yeah.
And how long did that take you? Did you catch it on a line, or did you catch it on a pole, or
Trout line,
on a trout line?
yeah.
So, every time that I could remember, when we went fishing, we fished off cane poles. Always. We never fished off anything else but cane poles.
I know it.
Did you ever use a rod and reel when you went down to the river?
No, I had a rod and reel for a little while, but I was a bluegill fisherman. I wasn't a bass fisherman.
Yeah. But we caught bass all the time
Oh, yeah.
on a cane pole. All the time.
Yeah. You remember catching
I do.
Yeah.
I remember you and me going out in the boat. I remember Grandma going out in the boat and fishing with us. And I remember sitting in that boat. You and me would be sitting in that boat early in the morning out on the river.
Oh, yeah.
And there'd be fog out on the river.
Yeah.
And you'd throw your line in. You'd say, watch this. And that fish would hit that line. You'd pull it in. And I'd say, Papa, I want to catch a fish. And you'd say, well, throw your line in right where I just threw mine in. And I'd throw it in. And you'd go to the other side of the boat, throw your line in, and you'd get a fish. And I'd say, Papa, I want to catch a fish. You'd say, throw your line in over there. And I'd throw my line in, and nothing. I'd look over, and you were pulling another fish out of the water.
Boy, I guess there's a slight to it.
Well, I always said, we always talked about, I said, so what's your secret to catching fish? And you always told me, what's your secret?
Yeah.
Got to hold your mouth right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hold your mouth right.
that's right.
Yeah. I never will forget, I was fishing in the lake. Me and my brother-in-law, and down
Crab orchard?
no, down Cypress, Dongola, lake down by Dongola.
Yeah.
Fern pond, when my brother-in-law was way down in there, you know, and we'd had our fish sack and we'd catching fish, you know. And there was some guys from Herring, they was in a boat, you know, they said, oh boy, they were gonna come in and catch fish like we was, you know. They come in and they just scared the fish off and they see, well, they couldn't catch them, they move on away. Here we started pulling them out again. They couldn't take it.
Huh.
Oh boy, they never did forget.
Yeah, yeah.
We knew just how to maneuver. Yeah.
I kid and said I didn't catch a lot of fish, but we caught a lot of fish.
Oh yeah.
We
did.
caught a lot of fish, and I remember times when Jeff was down there with us,
Yeah.
and I remember Mark being down there with us a few times. And boy, we caught a lot of fish.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I remember was that well in the front room, in the washroom at the top of the stairs, and the water that came out of there was cold.
Oh,
That
yeah.
well water was cold.
Good water.
I remember that. That was.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't so good if you were washing up, but it was good if you'd come in from a hot day. It was cold water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, with them are the good old days.
Yep. I remember Grandma cooking fish.
And you know, I taught Grandma how to catch bluegill, and she could beat me sometimes.
Grandma was a good fisherman. I remember.
Good, she was good, yeah,
I remember.
yeah. And if she caught more than I did, she'd let me know about it. Yeah, boy. Yeah. And when I first built a cabin there, you know what it cost me to rent that lot, and $15 a year.
$15 a year.
$15 a year. Now it's $250.
Really?
Yeah. And the taxes down there, I didn't pay no taxes then.
Yeah.
But now Joe has to pay a lot of taxes.
So Uncle Joe still has his cabin there?
Yeah.
Does he ever go down there?
No, not the last 2 years he didn't. He went one time last year and then the year before.
Yeah.
Last year he didn't go fishing trip.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I remember going down there. We'd go down in the pickup truck, and that black pickup truck. Does Jeff still have that truck?
Yeah, but it's not running.
Yeah.
No, he's never done nothing.
I remember taking that black Chevrolet pickup truck down there with a camper shell on it,
Yeah,
and we'd load up and head down there, and
yeah,
you and me and Grandma, and sometimes we'd have Jeff with us, and
yeah. Boy, them were the good old days.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember coming and staying at your house for a week or two during the summer every year, and
You enjoyed every bit of it.
I did. There was always stuff to do.
Oh yeah,
You taught me how to shoot.
yeah,
Taught me how to do a lot of things. I remember when I was little, when you had the horses.
yeah.
Now, one of the horses was Uncle Wendell's,
Yeah,
and one of them was yours.
yeah.
And how long did you have horses?
Well, I'd say most of my life. Not all of it,
Yeah.
but the biggest majority, yeah.
So, So did you have a horse when you moved in here? Did you bring a horse with you when you bought the place?
Got Wendell a horse.
You got Wendell a horse.
Yeah, no, one night, I was raised up with one. I learned to ride one. And he lived to be 30 years old.
30 years old.
And I rode that horse and I plowed and raised gardens with him. And I hauled coal with him with a one-horse wagon.
Yeah, what was that horse's name?
Yeah, he was just a horse.
He didn't have a name?
Dick.
Dick?
Dick, yeah. My dad bought him before he died.
Yeah.
That was in 1921 or 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we kept him for 30 years.
Wow.
And Wendell had him up to his house before he died.
Yeah.
No, not that one. The one Johnny. I bought a mare and we bred him to Johnny's stud over there, and he had that horse. And
Well,
Wendell kept him till he died.
I remember that there were two horses here when I was a kid. There was Uncle Wendell's horse, and his name was Ripple.
Yeah, Ripple.
And I don't remember the other horse's name. Do you?
Rob, you know you're winning. You know for cards. Yeah.
I
No,
I can't call it.
You don't remember? It was a mare.
Oh, yeah, that was, I know the mare that had the coat. Yeah. That's something I
Okay.
can't call it.
Stop playing your cards.
So, I also remember when I was little, out behind the barn there used to be a pond.
Yeah.
Was there ever fish in that pond?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I was.
Yeah, there's fish in it.
Yeah.
No big fish.
Little fish.
Little fish, yeah.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Did you ever farm any of that land out
Oh,
there?
yeah. Yeah, he was farming.
What did you grow out there?
Well, I grew corn and,
I totally won more with a 4, Rob.
You won?
I won 2 aces.
I made corn about all I raised, because I had hogs and I had feed for them.
You had hogs here?
Hogs?
You wanna keep going?
I had some hogs out here,
Really?
yeah,
You know, I guess I remember the pens being out there,
yeah.
but I don't think you had any hogs when I was
Well,
little. I don't think so.
no, I got rid of them before then, but, yeah, I raised corn out there in the Lake Creek bottoms. I had a tractor,
That where the interstate is now?
huh?
Is that where the interstate is now?
No, I don't have, between here and there, and
Oh, okay.
Oh.
you know where Pete Grant's farm is?
Yep.
Well, he's in behind there, that was the bottom. I cleared the land and plowed it, and planned to raise some good corn crop.
And you did all that, and you worked in the coal mines.
I did, yeah.
You worked hard.
Well, I wasn't working many days in the coal mine, you know, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, you take that corn and sell it off at the mill or whatever, and
I sold it to Wayne, my brother-in-law. He had hogs. I sold it to him
yeah.
for what we didn't use. And, yeah. So corn wasn't selling. I think it was 85 cents a bushel. It wasn't shelled, you know.
Yeah.
They picked it on the ear before they had the combine.